Hi, I'm Lauren Griffin, and I'm here with 4 excellent and amazing mothers for our Diary of a Mother interview for A Village of Wings.
Motherhood means to me is just a irreplaceable bond between me and my child, or my daughter, since I have a daughter. And it just means that I'm giving my all to make this little human the best that she can be. It means that I'll do whatever it takes to make sure that she's in a good position to prosper. It means to me forever friendship.
Sophomore in college, and I was like, what the heck am I about to do? I was staying in the dorms, so I had to move out of the dorms with my baby and still go to school and still I was determined to finish college. So it was definitely tough. So yeah, no, not ready at all. Yeah.
And I knew when I made that decision to leave, I had to figure things out. Like, I was putting on my big girl panties, or however you want to say it, and I now took on that responsibility to be responsible for myself. Now, granted, at 16 there was things that I probably shouldn't have been doing, or places that I shouldn't have made, and didn't make the best decisions at 16 and on. But one of the things I will say is that my mom, I always seen her hardworking. She just didn't put that effort into me. And so I make sure that everything that I do, I put that effort into my children. So it's not like, oh, you're just so focused on work that you're not focused on me, because that's something that I think I've seen, and I don't know what the reason was, and I just got to a place now where I'm not resentful about it. I just use it for motivation on how I can improve, how can I be better. So determination is probably what I learned from.
Well, when she was first born, she had open heart surgery. So that was a really hard challenge. I'm getting emotional thinking about it. It was a really hard challenge. I thought she wasn't gonna make it. My family, my belief in God, praying every day, and just me being there watching over her, making sure that they were doing what they were supposed to do, you know, to help her. So.
But she definitely looks healthy and beautiful, and I know she appreciates that too, and will continue to as she grows up.
Thank you. Still have those feelings like, what did I do wrong to get her to be having a disability? Because when I first thought my period was coming, I'm just cramping. So I took ibuprofen, not thinking I was pregnant, and it turned out that I was pregnant. So I always go back I should never took that. But it was one pill, but I still had those feelings, and then it went just downhill because we found out, because he was in the military, so he was out doing training, and I'm by myself. And the midwife called and said that her anatomy scan came back abnormal. So they were going to send us to Vanderbilt in Nashville to get a second opinion. So I'm not thinking anything of it. I'm like, okay, yeah, I thought it was twins at first, so I'm thinking it's just something else. So they did Vanderbilt called me, and they told me over the phone that she had spina bifida. And I'm like, what? What is that? And where did it come from? So they oh, you didn't know? I'm like, no. So of course, hearing that, and they didn't prepare me, it rocked my whole world. So I'm trying to call him. He didn't answer because no service. And we ended up going to Vanderbilt, and they did confirm that she had the worst case of spina bifida. So we had two options, to continue to be pregnant and then stop the pregnancy at 37 weeks to repair her spine, or intervene at as soon as possible to repair her spine while still in my womb. So it was high risk. So we ended up just going ahead with the surgery. So I had 2 days to decide if I was going to have the fetal surgery. So we did, and 2 weeks later, surgery was done. And I stayed in the hospital for my entire pregnancy. So completely understand.
To be honest, I don't think that there is balance. I think that you have to create boundaries. For me, I created limits that identified the time that I spent and how I was spending my time. As a mother, it is difficult to be as involved as you would like to be, and also be an entrepreneur, be in business, and all of that. So it was really about just creating the limits. And I try my best not to allow my responsibilities of my job, for instance, interfere with the time I set aside to spend with my children. So for me, I had to just find like what worked for me and my family. You're a mother 24/7, regardless of what. So one of the other things that I do is, if I can, I have my children involved in as much as they can be involved in. So in business, if I'm throwing an event, I make sure if they can be involved, I make sure they're involved so they can see what my responsibilities are and allow them to grow and learn from that as well.
Managing team problems to now facing potty training challenges was, I realized I forgot so much stuff that I first overcame. And then also because it's a boy and a girl, it was just a total different experience. I managed to make sure I give my teenager the same amount of attention I give my toddler, because I believe as she gets older, it's still critical. It's not like, oh, you're about to be out my house, you're grown. I don't want her to even think that, so I'm all up in her business just as much as I'm all up in the toddler's business. And I think just having that open communication, I make sure my daughter's mental health is okay, her physical health is okay, her academics is okay, as well as her brother. And I told his teacher that I would go hard for my 3-year-old just like I go hard for my 15-year-old. So if I have an issue with him in his classroom, there is a problem. So I just make sure I give them both the same amount of love, encouragement, and respect, and just make sure that we really talk about loving each other, being support, and we're a team.
I have my mother, I have my father, I have my sister, I have my stepdad, and we all rotate. So my hours working at Chrysler, they used to be 4:30 in the afternoon until 3 in the morning. That was 2 days a week. And then I was off for 2 days, and then I'll have 5 in the morning until 3. So it's hard when you work in a job like that. It's hard to find people that can help you. And then you have to have trust in those people, because you can't just leave your children with anybody. You know, you have to be able to trust them with your child and know that they're going to do the right thing, you know, and behave a certain way in front of your children, because they're like sponges. They suck everything in, they repeat everything, they mock you, you know. So you want to make sure that you're leaving them with, you know, good people. So I'm happy to have my support system that I have, but it's important. It's super important.
I always look at life like you got 2 choices. You can either learn from something, or you can get stuck in it and let it become who you were. So I definitely had friendships and other relatives where I could see the close-knit family. So I did have a vision of like what that could be. And then I had what I was used to, where it wasn't the supportive, nurturing environment. So I just knew what I didn't want, and I just started focusing on what I did want, which was that close relationship with my children and having that close family. So I really worked hard to make sure I dedicated time to them, to make sure everything that I set out for myself as far as educational goal was for their benefit, and also be a role model to them. That just because I was a teen mother who dropped out of college did not mean life was over, and my kids seeing me graduate was beautiful.
That is amazing. That's amazing. It's okay. It's okay. We got
Not with
tissues.
this mascara.
We got water. We got it all.
Not with this mascara on.
It's okay. And it's excellent that you did, persevere and go back.
Because I got so consumed with making sure that she had everything that she needed, that I forgot about myself. That, I became the back burner to a lot of things. So I'm just now getting back to being social and doing things, because I was in a deep depression postpartum once I had her. So it's difficult, but I'm managing. I'm adjusting. I'm learning. I'm taking each day as a new chance to do something different that I didn't do yesterday when it comes to reaching out to my friends, since we did just move back to Michigan, just reconnecting with my family and my friends, because we were gone for 5 years. So I can't say I'm doing it perfect, but
I have one more thing to say. We tapped into having support systems and how important that is, and it's very important. But I want to say also, from my experience, I didn't have a support system, at least at first. My mom, after the age of 16, she was barely in my life. So I thought that when I first found out that I was pregnant, I thought that I wouldn't be a good mother because I didn't have that motherly guidance. So for people who don't have that support system, or are looking who's gonna help me, just set aside that fear, because when you have that child, or even before, your mother instinct will kick in.
Yes.
For me, it was I had to develop faith, and through developing faith that was strong enough for me to know that even without that guidance, that motherly guidance, or my father not being there, or aunts and grandmothers not being there for me, that I was still going to be a great mother. And although I didn't know what being a mother really meant, I was going to be the best version of a mother that I knew and God knew that I can be. So just not fearing just because you don't have support, and not, just being afraid to have a child, because it will kick in. And I've been told a million times today, you are a great mother, which is something I would not have envisioned prior to.